Oh, you're finally back. It's all because you went to the funeral instead of doing the housework. The scene I came back to from Mom's funeral was unbelievably shocking. Chloe, my mother-in-law, was destroying Mom's cherished necklace, laughing. What are you doing? Why would you do something so terrible? That was a special gift from Mom. I was frozen, unable to do anything until the necklace was completely destroyed. Make sure you clean that up. And clean up after she breaks something important. I'll never forgive Chloe for this. What should I clean up? She destroyed something so important without a second thought, right? You're arguing back? You shouldn't hold on to such an old and dirty necklace forever. I was just being kind by getting rid of it. Kindness. Where's the kindness in such cruelty? Enough. I'll make Chloe pay for this. Out at that moment, I decided she must atone for her actions. Ich sagst mir a Quaker. Hey Grace, would you mind going out to dinner with my son? I'll cover the expenses. You can refuse if you don't want to. At that time, Alexander, though I wasn't too keen, I agreed to meet father-in-law's son, the senior vice president, considering it was the company president's request.
I'm sorry, my dad insisted on this. I'm into meme.
This man, Benjamin, who had later become my husband, was 2 years older than me and gave off a mature and kind vibe. As we talked, I found myself gradually drawn to him. We started dating and the relationship developed.
Will you marry me?
I received a proposal from Benjamin 6 months into our relationship. I felt so fortunate to marry such a wonderful man. I was elated about marrying Benjamin, but that happiness didn't last long.
It's nice to meet you. I'm Grace. Please take care of me.
You're the one marrying Benjamin. You seem a bit underwhelming.
When we went to the in-laws' house for a family meeting, Chloe bluntly said that to me. I was so shocked by such a remark on our first meeting that I couldn't respond.
Hey, don't say such things. It's rude. We're going to live together from now on.
When it was decided that Benjamin and I would marry, Alexander had requested us to live together. I didn't mind Alexander and wasn't opposed to the idea of living together, although Alexander defended me. Chloe's snide remarks didn't stop.
It's just the truth. I never said I wanted to live together. And you seem a bit clumsy. Are you sure you'll be okay?
Despite Chloe's continued sarcasm, I managed to finish the greeting.
I'm sorry for what Mom said.
I'm surprised, but I'm okay.
Benjamin sounded concerned on our way home, but I thought I shouldn't get upset over such things and pretended to be fine. I thought living together with kind Benjamin and Alexander would be manageable, but looking back, I wish I had refused. 2 months later, after marrying Benjamin and quitting my job, I moved to the in-laws' house. At Benjamin's strong request, I started my life as a housewife there. Just on the moving day,
I'm really glad you came.
Likewise.
after a brief greeting with a smiling Alexander, I entered the in-laws' house. While I was arranging my things, Chloe entered my room.
Grace, you quit your job, right? Then you'll take care of all the household chores? Yes, I will do my best. You're enthusiastic at least. Now read this carefully.
Chloe handed me a note. It said that if I didn't listen to Chloe or argued back, I would have to divorce Benjamin, and all household chores were to be done by me, Benjamin's wife.
What? What does this mean? It means exactly what it says. Can't you understand something so simple? That's why I didn't want to live with someone like you.
Chloe scoffed at me with a look of disdain. I was ready to do household chores anyway. There was no need to write it down and show it to me. I was frozen and speechless when Chloe immediately said, "If you understand, then start cleaning this house right away. And leave your stuff for later."
What specifically should I clean?
What? The entire house, obviously. Don't forget to clean all the windows and mirrors, too.
The in-laws' house, being the home of a company president like Alexander, was quite large and impressive. Cleaning the whole house is easier said than done. How many hours would it take? But I knew better than to argue with Chloe.
Understood. I'll do it.
Suppressing my urge to argue back, I began cleaning. It took about 2 hours before I finished cleaning every part.
I finished cleaning.
You took so much time for just cleaning. You're really inefficient.
I thought to myself that cleaning such a large house alone would naturally take this long, but I hid my feelings and played it off.
Now that the cleaning is done, you'll organize my things?
What are you talking about? There's still laundry and cooking to do.
In the end, I couldn't get any time for myself and the day was over. From then on, I spent my days doing chores under Chloe's constant sarcasm, hardly having any time for myself. Thus, a month into living at the in-laws' house, I lost 22 pounds due to stress and fatigue. And Chloe, doing nothing, had visibly gained weight. My body and spirit were on the brink. I thought about asking Benjamin to have Chloe share some of the household chores, but he was also struggling with his role as a senior vice president at the company, and I couldn't bring myself to say it. 3 days later, Benjamin and Alexander were away overnight for a board meeting at the company. Only Chloe and I were at the in-laws' house, and as usual, I was busy with household chores. That's when I received a call from my dad on my mobile phone. It was unusual for him to call. "What's up? Calm down and listen. Mom has collapsed." After receiving the call from Dad, I decided to go to the hospital immediately. Might not make it. As I was hurriedly preparing to leave for the hospital, Chloe spoke up. "You haven't finished cleaning yet. Where do you think you're going?" My mom collapsed. I got a call. "I'll finish the rest when I come back," ignoring Chloe, who seemed to want to say more. I rushed out of the in-laws' house. "Please don't die," rhyming to the hospital. I was distraught. After about 30 minutes, I arrived at the hospital and entered Mom's rooms. "No, this can't be Mom." There lay Mom, motionless. I was too late. Mom, she just collapsed suddenly. They said it was a myocardial infarction. Dad explained to me in tears. Seeing Dad like that, I also burst into tears. I realized I would never see Mom again. The thought was unbearably sad. The next day, Benjamin and Alexander came back from their business trip and attended Mom's funeral. However, Chloe was the only one who didn't come to the funeral. It was incredibly rude not to attend a relative's funeral, no matter the circumstances. I felt like exploding with anger towards Chloe, but decided to ignore her, thinking it wouldn't help if she came unwillingly. There were various arrangements to be made, so Benjamin and I decided that I would stay at my parents' home for about a week. Dad was initially too shocked to eat properly after Mom's passing, but gradually started eating again, so I decided to return to the in-laws' house. "Oh, you're finally back." What I saw upon returning to the in-laws' house was unbelievable. Chloe was destroying the necklace Mom had given me in the garden. "What are you doing? How could you say such a thing? It's natural to experience that. It's natural to attend Mom's funeral. Make sure you clean it up. Allow. Destroy someone's precious item and then tell them to clean it up." I had reached my limit. I would make sure Chloe pays for this. Wait a minute. Destroying my precious item and then telling me to clean it up. What's the meaning of this? That old and dirty necklace was important to you? The necklace that was destroyed was a gift from Mom when I turned 20. Now that Mom had passed away, it was the only keepsake I had left. And it was senselessly destroyed for being old. To you. I'll Chloe, it might be old, but it was precious to me. Don't be so upset.
It was old and dirty, so I kindly disposed of it for you. Oh well, that's kindness.
Kindness at kindness? I don't need such kindness. I glared at Chloe, my words filled with anger. Seeing this, Chloe, who had been laughing earlier, suddenly turned cold.
That look in your eyes? Are you arguing with me? Did you forget what I wrote in the note I gave you at first?
Oh, the divorce with Benjamin? At this point, fine, let it be a divorce. If Chloe was going to use my argument as a reason for Benjamin to divorce me, then I didn't care. More than that, I couldn't forgive Chloe for what she had done.
If you say so, I understand. We'll discuss it with Alexander and Benjamin when they return today.
Came by me. So we waited for Benjamin and Alexander to return without speaking a word. As night fell, Benjamin and Alexander came home together.
Hey, what's with the scary faces, both of you?
Benjamin asked me, "Could you please sit down for a moment? I'm sorry. Alexander, could you join us?" I asked Benjamin and Alexander to sit on the sofa. Let's continue the conversation. Chloe.
What's going on?
Today, Chloe destroyed a necklace that Mom gave me.
What? Thought you see her simple.
Hearing my statement, both Benjamin and Alexander looked perplexed. It was no wonder. Such news would be confusing if sprung up suddenly.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Chloe responded to Alexander's question without any sign of remorse.
It's her fault for being away for a week.
Indeed, I was at my parents' home for a week, but I had Benjamin's permission.
Such insolence? It's unheard of to defy your parents.
If she really thought that, why didn't she attend Mom's funeral? Let me say this, it's more than that.
Can you call someone who does that an in-law?
And Chloe's face visibly paled. the moment I said that. As soon as I said that.
What do you mean? Chloe, you told me you were going. Was that a lie? Benjamin and I went straight from our business trip, and we didn't know because we had to return immediately. What's the meaning of this?
I'm disappointed, Mom. I never expected this.
It's not like that.
Chloe's voice grew quieter as Benjamin and Alexander pressed her.
You really intended to go? Then why didn't you? Even if you couldn't make it, you could have visited parents' home later to pay your respects, right? If you didn't do that, does it mean you didn't really care about my mom's death?
That's not true. I was saddened by your mom's death too.
Chloe said this and started crying. If she was really sad, she would have come to the funeral and paid her respects. Just watching Chloe. I thought to myself that this was just crocodile tears a ploy.
Who would believe such fake tears? I've tolerated being treated like a housemaid by you until now, but I can't forgive you for destroying something precious to me and your unreasonable behavior of not attending a relative's funeral.
I clearly told Benjamin and Alexander how I'd been treated like a housemaid by Chloe.
How could you be so disrespectful? Chloe or Quacks, treating Grace like a housemaid. That's outrageous.
It was reassuring that both of them had sensible values. They seemed to understand that what I'd experienced was abnormal. And confronted by Benjamin and Alexander, Chloe retorted defiantly.
Yeah, that's right. I only think of Grace as a maid. And making a fuss over breaking such a necklace is just embarrassing for adults.
Chloe, come here right now.
Hearing Chloe's words, Alexander, furious, grabbed her and headed towards the entrance.
Ouch. What are you doing?
Someone like you, get out of this house.
Alexander, trying to push Chloe out of the door, was met with her desperate resistance.
Sorry. It's my fault. Please forgive me.
Verdi wouldn't apologize to the right person.
Alexander was about to hit Chloe while yelling at her. It's certainly not good for a company president to resort to violence. Thinking this, I hurriedly stepped in to stop Alexander.
Alexander, that's enough. Violence is not the answer.
Perhaps my words calmed him as Alexander regained his composure.
Ah, I'm sorry. What Chloe did is unforgivable. It's not something that can be resolved with my apology, but I'm truly sorry.
Alexander apologized to me right then and there. Chloe, overwhelmed by Alexander's presence, remained seated at the entrance, motionless. It's not something Alexander should apologize for, but I will never forgive you.
Sorry. I will never say mean things to you again.
It's okay, you don't need to apologize. I'm going to be unrelated to you from now on? Benjamin asked me, looking puzzled. Of course it would be confusing to hear such a statement all of a sudden. I showed Benjamin the note that Chloe had given me before. See, it says here, if Grace argues, divorce Benjamin. I argued with Chloe, so now I'm supposed to be divorced from you.
Wait! Chidukanos Koteriasi. What the? Mom, what kind of nonsense did you write? Didn't she decide about my divorce like that?
Benjamin was furious as Alexander, almost ready to burst into anger. It's truly unacceptable for a parent to decide on their child's divorce. While watching Benjamin's raging anger, I thought to myself about how unreasonable this situation was. After Benjamin calmed down, I decided to confront Chloe again. So you're okay with the divorce, right?
No, well,
I was about ready to hit Chloe. Say it clearly. Chloe, what's wrong with you?
sorry, please forget about that discussion.
I was surprised at myself for raising my voice in public for the first time, but Chloe was even more shocked. Barely intimidated by my words, she kept apologizing in a small voice. Apologies are fine, but what about the necklace? Mom said it was worth around $30,000. You'll compensate for it, right? I knew full well that Chloe, a housewife, couldn't afford such an amount. But I had to make her understand the severity of her actions.
I will take care of the compensation for Grace.
Hips in place of the speechless Chloe, Alexander offered to pay for the necklace. Although I felt this wasn't quite right, I couldn't ignore Alexander's kind gesture. Then the four of us, my husband and I, and the in-laws discussed our future course of action. Eventually, we decided to move out of the in-laws' house and live at my parents' home. I was relieved when Dad said over the phone we would be more than happy to have Benjamin. The in-laws decided to remain in their house. On the day of moving to my parents' home, thank you for everything.
I'm the one who should be sorry.
Alexander continued to apologize until the very end. As for Chloe, she just silently watched us leave the in-laws' house without saying anything. Right before leaving, Benjamin approached Chloe as if he remembered something important. I wondered what he would do. Perhaps as a son, he felt sad about leaving his parents. With these thoughts, I watched Benjamin.
Hey, can I cut you for a sec?
Mom, if you ever do anything to Grace again, I won't spare you just because you're my mother. Remember that. I never expected Benjamin to say such a thing to Chloe. Chloe, too, must have felt the same way I did. After being spoken to like that, Chloe covered her face with her hands and burst into tears. These tears seemed genuine. All right, let's go back to Grace's parents' home. So with those words from Benjamin, we headed towards my parents' home. It felt a bit sad that even her own son spoke harshly to her, but it was the consequence of her actions. Seeing Benjamin with a triumphant look made me feel somewhat relieved. After returning to my parents' home, a week passed, and Benjamin seemed to have adjusted well, often keeping my dad company after work. If he came home early, they'd even have an evening drink together. I was so happy to see them getting along. One day, Benjamin said he had something to tell me. What's the matter? Dad and Mom got divorced. Well, what really? Why would I lie about that?
Will you come with me?
I agreed to accompany Benjamin. Alexander ushered us inside. The next day, at the in-laws' house,
Sorry for the sudden call.
no problem, but is it true that you got divorced?
I wouldn't lie about that. It's true. I just couldn't forgive myself for all the awful things I had allowed to happen to you.
I see. What do you say in such a situation? I wish I could say something more fitting.
I can't stand this silence anymore. Please take this.
Alexander offered me an envelope. Upon seeing the thick envelope, I assumed it was compensation for the necklace. It seems too thick for just $30,000.
There's $50,000 in there.
And Sapphire $2,000? I can't accept that much.
Since I was the one who insisted on you living with us, please accept it without objection.
At his insistence, I gratefully accepted the $50,000.
Grace, if it's okay, would you and Benjamin occasionally visit me?
Of course we will visit again. With that, we left the in-laws' house. On the way back to my parents' home, I asked Benjamin about Chloe. She was working part-time at a nearby grocery store and living alone in a cheap apartment, struggling to repay Alexander for the necklace. That's a year later, Benjamin and I were blessed with a baby. When I told Benjamin and Alexander, they were overjoyed as if it were their own happiness. Benjamin, our upcoming baby, and our whole family. I truly hope we all live happily.